Hi again. Again, my name is Rebecca Byron-Stonahy, and you have found Barren Rabbit, A Catholic's Tale. There's one message that's weighing very heavily on my heart to share tonight. I have a disclaimer, and it needs to be said from the get-go here, and that is that I want to be certain that you hear me very clearly when I say that I'm not attempting, nor is it my right to take away your right to grieve, your right to mourn, your right to feel, your right to emote. It is not my right to take your grief, your emotion, your feeling, your pain even from you. So that is not my intent. My intent, again, as I've said in previous videos, is to share hindsight that I have gained. And something that has come to me only recently, and again, as an already adoptive mother, a recently gained insight is one that I have, and I'd like to use an analogy in a minute to explain it. In the throes and the depths of our longing to be parents, and when it wasn't occurring, and under the heavy weight of the cross of infertility, I was crumbling. I was crushing under its weight. And I was obsessed, and maybe possessed, consumed with the thought of becoming a mom. And so very real to me were the children for which I longed. I wrote songs about them. They were so real to me, almost as if they could have walked through the room at any given moment, breezing in with my husband's curly hair, maybe my eyes, his charm and charisma, and maybe his height, and I don't know, my singing voice. I have to pick a few things. They were so real to me in my imagination and in my longing, the depths of my longing, that it was as if they existed somewhere out there, and I just had to find that secret knot that would unlock the passage and bring them to me and me to them. So real were they to me, and so longed for. I desired this child of my imagining, of my heart, of my longing, of my childhood, really. The recent insight that I've gained is the distinction between a child of my image, a child of my husband's image, versus the child of God's image. I was longing, I came to realize, truly for a child of my image, and I was mourning that child, the child of my husband's image. Wasn't that what this marriage thing was all about? Marry this man you love, start a family with him, bring about little hims and hers to roam about the planet. What happened to those children, the children of our image? I was forgetting that we are all created in our Lord, our Father's divine image, and that image is perfect. What I offer to you for your prayer and for your own journey with your spouse is perhaps this distinction between the child of your imagining, the child of your longing, however deep. Is there a distinction between that child and perhaps a child created in God's image? Are you praying deeply and longing deeply for a child of His image? I looked at my siblings, I looked at my friends, I looked at the world and said, hey, they get to have a child of their image, of their spouse's image. What about me? I truly put so much energy and gave so much of my joy and my peace over to that longing. The reality is that the child of your imagining, the child of truly created of yours and your spouse's image, may very well be the same child in God's image that will come to be someday. I cannot tell you that that child, little you and little him or her, will not exist. I don't have that knowledge. They may already be, he or she may already be in the making. So I cannot take away your desire for them. But I offer you the distinction as a possible way to a new freedom that perhaps you're not thinking of. And maybe you are not ready to hear this message. Maybe it's a bitter pill to swallow. But I'm going to give you an analogy. Let's imagine a woman. When she was a little girl, she read a story. And in that story, she saw an illustration of an amazing beach house. And she fell in love with this beach house. And she remembered it all her years. And even into adulthood, she could imagine it in an instant. So much that she could imagine herself, how she would feel in the rooms of that house, the peace, the warmth, that she could just smell the surf air as if she were on the back porch at any instant. She could feel the warmth of the sun there. All the realities of her imagining were so deep that she could be there in an instant, and she longed to be there in an instant. And what if in her adult years then, she decided that she was going to set out and find that house? And what if she was married and she said to her spouse, let's find this house. It's out there. And he came too to believe, yeah, it must be out there. Let's find that house. And they searched the whole eastern coast of America. And then they searched the whole western coast of America. And they sought out that house, but weren't finding it anywhere. And then you ran into this person. She told you that she had a flight booked to Hawaii. It's not even a vacation. We are seeking. We're out to find a house. And what if maybe that house didn't exist? And what if the author were able to tell you that no, that house doesn't exist? What about another beach house? There's so many beautiful houses already out there. Some are just ready for the next occupant. Gorgeous. Maybe you'll build a beach house. Maybe you'll try something different entirely. A lake house or a mountain retreat. And what if you were in that position? Might there be a freedom in sort of letting go of that particular house that may not exist anywhere, may never exist anywhere, so as not to become just totally entrapped in the search for that particular beach house? I use this as an analogy, and of course all analogies are weak and loose in parts. I was deeply seeking a particular beach house that I thought I was destined to have. I was seeking the child of my image, my husband's image, of my imagining. And the distinction I can make now is this. If a child does not first exist, if a human being does not first exist in the mind and heart of our God, our Creator, he or she will never exist. That creative power is God's alone. And I could give every ounce of my being and my energy and my joy over to achieving, to gaining, to attaining, to possessing the child of my imagining. But if the child of my imagining, the child of mine and my husband's image, if you will, does not first exist in the creative power of God, then he or she will never exist. Not today, not ever. Now, again, the child of your imagining, the child of yours and your spouse's image may very well exist someday. But the two have to meet up. Again, a distinction that I've been able to gain peace from. And that, again, did not come to me straight off the bat. It began to come to me when my husband and I endured the first losses of our children. When we adopted our children as embryos, some of those children did not survive the thawing process. We never got to, quote unquote, meet them, even in the transfer, the medical procedure of the transfer into my body. Others did not survive within my body, and we endured miscarriage. And in those moments of deep, real loss, I was able to begin to distinguish between, again, the child of my longing, the child of my imagining, the child of my pining, and these very real, true human beings. And again, I don't take away your right to grieve. We do need, as persons of infertility, we do need to mourn and grieve the child of our imagining, the child of our dreams. But the distinction is that we are mourning a dream and not an actual child. And my husband and I experienced child loss, miscarriage. The distinction was right there in front of my face. These were true human souls, worthy of grieving in a new and profound way, entirely different from the grief over a lost dream, a prayer, a hope that had not come to fruition. These true human souls that existed first in the mind, the creative power of our God. He welcomed them home, and we were able to mourn them this side of eternity. And that was taken to an entirely new level when we met our daughter, Grace Elizabeth, for 10 hours, and then said goodbye to her long before her time. A real, living child of God, worthy to be mourned, to be grieved, to be missed in a way that no child of my imagining ever could be. I offer this not to reprimand you for grieving, but as a possible seed of a freedom that I have slowly been able to gain. You may not be able to hear this message today. You may want to balk at it and shut me up, and that's okay. And again, it took me time. But I do offer it to you in case it might afford you a new freedom or a new peace. I offer it to you specifically for your prayer life, that you can be certain that you and your spouse, in the depths of your prayer, are truly seeking the author's expert advice. The author of all life will be able to reveal to you whether or not the child of your imagining, the child of, yours and your spouse's tiny image, is in fact a true child of God's image, of the creative power of our God. And if not, if he reveals that it is not, might there be something else, a new path to a new child of his image meant for you? For my husband and I, the answer is a very true yes. We have found the glorious, wondrous, amazing, miraculous path of adoption. We have become parents, and he has blown our mind with the beauty and wonder of Seth, Grace, Claire, and Sheila. He had in store for me more joy and more beauty than I ever could have imagined for myself. And that's the nature of our God. He knows best. Father knows best. He knows well the plans he has for you. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. So if you are dwelling in a longing for a child that may or may not exist, ask him about that. Just pray about that. Ask him if there's a freedom you may gain from a letting go, a gradual, however it may be. Is there a letting go that may offer you a new freedom, a new peace? And is there a new path to adoptive parenthood, to foster parenting, to mentoring, to giving of yourselves in a different way that can give you a new joy? And the question really is not, can your marriage be fruitful if you're not able to conceive children? Of course, in the joys of your love, you are fruitful. I'm going to leave you instead with this question. Is there something more that He wants to give you? Ask Him, is there something more that He wants to give you? I pray for your soul's truly deep joy in whatever plans He has for you to prosper you. God bless you and yours, and God bless the whole world.